Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the to this year's first episode of UKZN's College of Agriculture, Engineering and Sciences webinar series known as Meet Our Graduates. I'm your host, Ntokozo Dladla. Please remember when you join in, please keep your mic muted, put your settings on speaker view, and then post any questions you may have on our chats, but we will have a question and answer session towards the end. Joining us today to discuss our topic, the dangers of entitlement, a focus on mental health, is Mr. Sanele Zuma. Sanele is a student development officer for the Student Support Services under the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Sciences. He has been a part of the college since September in 2012. He has intensive experience in the development and facilitation of student development programs. As a result, Mr. Zuma boasts of a decade worth of experience in the training of student organizations, residences, and groups in and out of the university. His core mandate has been to ensure that students are equipped with essential academic career and psychosocial skills to aid their success at the university and beyond. Organizations outside the university that he has worked with include Ellen and Gray Foundation, REAP, and Protec. He also facilitates academic and career development programs for township schools as part of his community outreach projects. Mr. Zuma's leadership experience started in his role as a residence assistant in 2010 at Howard College. He has since been coordinating the Life Skills program for the Center of the Academic Success in Science and Engineering, known as KC, which is formerly known as Science Access. He has been doing this from 2013 to date. He has also been leading a number of student development programs under SEAS, with the first year experience project being one of them. He has also been training and mentoring SRC of College of Agriculture at Sitara from 2014 to date. The holistic development of students and young people in general defines Mr. Sanele Zuma. He strives to ensure that the university does not only produce academically competent graduates, but those with sufficient personal and life skills. The social ills of today, including corruption or gender-based violence, tend to speak to the deficiency in personal development. And closing this gap is Mr. Sanele Zuma's life purpose. That's a mouthful. Ladies and gentlemen, with your mics muted, we can give Sanele Zuma a warm round of applause. Sanele, may you please switch on your screen and unmute your mic.
Thank you so much. I don't know how I look like. I mean, how it will sound like when I'm dead, but hopefully they won't have to read all of that. I'm very privileged, I must say, to be invited here. It's indeed quite a great honor. And I'm quite confident that an hour from now, I would have contributed quite a bit to everyone joining. So that's my promise. I'm hoping that we'll have a lot of discussions after this. I won't be talking a lot because I'd really like to engage and get to hear your questions and comments as we speak. All right. The dangers of entitlement, focus on mental health. We're looking at this in the context of career development.
Sorry, Sanele.
Ivo.
May you please just turn up the volume? It sounds very low.
Oh,
like
okay.
you're away from the speaker.
Um, it's a bit high, or maybe do I need to speak up a bit?
Yes,
Do you hear
please.
me now? Okay.
Yes.
Are we good now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. So I was saying that to look at this topic in the context of career development. We're at a time where we know that a lot of our graduates are struggling to be absorbed by the market. They've studied, they have the qualifications, but jobs are not coming. So we want to look at mental health in that space, but also not just for the unemployed, also for those who are in opportunities which they feel do not define them. You know, this is not my place. I need to be in a better space. So we'll also be talking to that. So my talk will start by engaging on mental health in that context, but also moving to those kind of factors that I believe are in the way or in a way contribute somehow to the current status quo. And that will speak to career development deficits. That will also speak to the issue of entitlement. And that's why we here. So I don't need to go in detail to tell you how dire the situation is in as far as um, the scarcity of job opportunities in South Africa. Just recently, in the first quarter report by Stats SA, we're told that we are now at 34.5%. That's the current unemployment rate. But what was interesting, if you read that report, is that they will tell you that the unemployment rate for those aged between 15 and 24 is now sitting at 63.9%. So about 64% of the people around that age are unemployed. And if you think of somebody who's 15 to 24, that's a typical age of a graduate with a junior degree, basically. Right. And
Yes.
they will tell us that it's 42.1% for those aged 25 to 34 years. So it's very bad. That's why unemployment in South Africa is a crisis, no longer a challenge, it's a crisis. And everyone seems to be acknowledging it as such. What becomes even more concerning is the number of people who are now considered discouraged work seekers. People have just given up. You know, they've tried so many times and they feel like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to subject myself to this anymore. So I'll rather not try. And we're told that the first quarter report of this year, that number has increased by 16.4%. And when you look at when they quantify these numbers, it's scary because they are talking of an increase of about 545,000. Over 500,000 people have just given up, you know, on that. And you can imagine that there's a lot of mental health issues that goes with being in that space. And I see it as a lot of these. There's a lot of disappointment that goes in there. There's depression in there. There's despondent in there. Disappointments in a sense that if you keep applying and every time you get a letter, if you are lucky to even get a response, and the first line is, we regret to inform you. It takes away something.
Rejection is difficult to accept. No matter which platform you're on, rejection is hard.
It is extremely hard, especially if you know that you are putting in the work. I was talking as I was just having engagements with others leading to this conversation. One person said to me, you know, the sad thing, Sanele, about this job searching thing is that people tend to think that you are not trying hard enough. So you become judged in your hustle, you know, and they don't understand the extent to which you face this disappointment every time, you know, and it's even costly to apply, you know, so you're making copies, you're spending your last cents to apply. And sometimes we have very good interviews and you come back, you're hopeful, boom, it doesn't happen. But apart from the disappointment, you find a lot of people who are in a space of being despondent, where they are completely hopeless now. Where you just feel like, no, it's not going to happen. Like I said, if we will be told that over 500,000 citizens are no longer even looking for a job, that tells you that people are beginning to lose a bit of hope. And they rather not try, rather than to face the disappointment of being disappointed yet again. Okay, so we have that situation. And at times, people like myself who are into the news, and you can hardly escape a day without hearing about any form of corruption on a day. There will be a story around that. So at times, that in itself, it just makes you feel like, you feel powerless about the situation. So there are people who are in that space. And there are people who are going through depression as in this space of being unemployed. And this is not just stress. It's not stress and depression are different things. With stress, you're affected by these negative emotions today, but tomorrow you're a new person. We're talking depression here, where you are preoccupied by these negative emotions of feeling like you are not enough, or the pressure that you are getting from home on a continuous basis. And as we come to university, we carry a lot of hopes coming to universities. I often tell my students, African students, that most of you tend to be deployed. When you go to an institution, it's more like you're not likely to be there for yourself. You're not just thinking a life of your own after your studies. Most times than not, you're carrying a lot of hopes in your shoulders. Your parents are relying on you, your siblings are relying on you. That's why when you are in trouble at school, everyone goes crazy and they try to rescue you, because you are a representative of a collective. So by the time you have graduated, 3 months later, you're at home, you're not doing anything, no luck in being called to any interview. It gets to you, and it's things that most people have to battle with. The line, I'm not sure you know that line, famous line.
Yes, I do. That's
Yeah,
true. Because they send you off to school, it's a celebration, everyone knows about
yeah.
it. Hey, this person, when you're graduating, it's a celebration. We're now gonna live a better life. There's this expectation
Exactly.
of
And
you
everyone
gonna be
brags
the
about you
savior.
being there. And we're going to talk about that, because there's a lot of status that goes with you being at the university. Magantogozo nje, we just checking on her. Hey, Magantogozo, are you well? Oh, I'm good. Hey, that child who's doing low back at UKZN, and it's just, they just throw you anywhere because it comes with that sense of pride. But when things do not work out, it comes back to be overwhelming to us. It's the pressure that we begin to feel. And there's a sense of loss also that people are feeling as they are unemployed, where you exist in a world that is very, very much in your face. People parade their successes. We're in a world of, it may come across as show-offs, but when people really make it, you will feel it. Your timeline on Facebook will be everywhere. If I have bought a new car, you will know. If I have a new job, you will know. So that becomes a reminder to somebody who's still trying and fighting that you are not moving. And at times we feel that sense of being behind from our peers, and you feel like, I need, maybe you are female and you are looking at your biological clock. I should have started a family by now. So it becomes a lot of emotions, basically. As you see that, and it becomes even more difficult for men, because we hardly talk, and we are socialized to being these strong people. We keep it to ourselves, and people can easily commit suicide in that state. And at the same time, you are carrying this pressure of being the head of the house as a man, lead the way, do things, get married, do this and things like that. So yes, mental health does get affected when we feel like we're not moving fast enough in our
Direction you
career
want.
development. Yeah. Okay. But it could also, there are other factors that may be contributing to that. And now I will stop with entitlement. For now, I just want to talk on career development deficit. Sometimes we need to be honest with ourselves and begin to ask, are we prepared enough for the world of work? Do we have the necessary skills to survive outside the university? Do we have job searching skills to compete in this very, very and highly competitive market? And sometimes I feel we're not really well prepared on that. I've been very lucky to be on both sides of interviews as a panelist and as an interviewee. And I've been part of panelists for quite a number of times. I remember my first experience was still doing my first year master's, and they wanted to employ a senior lecturer and a junior lecturer. Senior lecturer, professor, supervised postgraduate. So it was nice to be drawn in at that particular stage in life when you're still young, you don't know much, and in that kind of space, and to see at that level interviews taking place. But I've been interviewed on a number of times for myself, but I've also, like I said, sat a number of times on the other side as a panelist. And I can assure you, we do have a challenge with some graduate of not being really strong in marketing ourselves. Like I said, unemployment rates are sky up, but some of us do not even have the basics, a proper CV. I keep telling students that when you send your CV, people don't know, they don't know you. I believe in what I've done. For example, I know I'm capable, I'm very confident with that. But if somebody relies on my CV to get to know me, my CV needs to be a true reflection of what I'm capable of. If my CV is that bad, they assume I'm that bad and they put me aside, But the basics of even putting that CV together is something that we lack. In our college, we have Sbo, a career development officer.
Yes.
When we first had our meetings, as we were introduced to him, he told me something that was quite a bit unfortunate, where he said, I'm quite surprised that office is not as busy. And I'm thinking, damn, your office is not busy. When we have such a high number of unemployment, are our graduates that confident about their skills in as far as surviving out there? And that becomes a problem. So it goes beyond just having a good CV and knowing how to handle interviews. Even job searching habits like job shadowing. You can't be a student who's at the College of AES, maybe you are doing a BSc major in hydrology, for example, but you complete your entire degree, undergraduate degree. You have never had one visit at the Department of Umgeni Waters. This is just in town. How do you build your connections? The essence of job shadowing, just being there to observe, you building your work experience. And most times people will come back and say, hey, people are crazy. As soon as we are qualified, they expect experience. Where will you buy experience when you have been a full-time student? Job shadowing is still an experience. Me visiting that department that employs people in my field and being there at least once a month, observing what they do, volunteering my services is job experience because I'm learning about the job. But other than that, I'm still building connections. By the time I qualify, they know who Sanele Zuma is. By the time I launch a CV there, I'm not a stranger. So we don't seem to know these things. But also, marketing ourselves becomes a problem. I'm not a psychology graduate, and I'm not defined by an honors in psychology. I'm Sanele Zuma with excellent leadership skills. Sanele with outstanding facilitation skills. I'm able to present myself eloquently. I'm clear in my delivery. It's skills-based. And people are always trying to sell themselves in terms of their papers, but not communicating much in terms of skill, what they offer, what they do. We need to know how creative you are, those kind of things. So my argument here is that while we do have a situation of high unemployment rate, we also need to be cognizant of the fact that we might not be doing enough to harness our career development skills. And we need to take advantage of the offices of our OSBO as a career development office and other career development spaces out there to make sure that we're a bit empowered. Okay, and then the last part before we get into the the discussion, and I hope we'll engage a bit more. Entitlement. I was just looking at my Cambridge dictionary to see what does it say about entitlement. When you have a right to do or have something, you're entitled to that. I have a right to do this. I have a right to this. And maybe when we talk about this, I would invite everyone who's here to reflect on these questions, 2 questions. What does being a university student mean to an average person? You're a student at the university, and try to picture yourself as a first year coming in. What does that mean to you, just being here? You are not at FET, you are not at a technical university, you are at UKZN. And what does that mean? And what does being a graduate at this institution actually mean? Does it entitle you to a job? Does it entitle you to a good job? Does it entitle you to work in your field of study? And I want you to just to think about that. I said something earlier about the status that comes with being at the university. So there's always that university tag. And I feel at times we often feel special for being at the university. And you are in this space and you feel you are in a very, very important space and you are privileged to be here. And I'm not disputing any of that. But the problem is when you struggle to locate yourself where you envisioned yourself to be post your studies. And when you realize that, this world is not giving what I am deserving as a UKZN graduate, that's where the problem begins to lie. And then you find people who say, I can't do that job. No, I'm too educated for that. No, with my honors, why would I go there? Damn, I have masters. What am I doing there? Because I feel I've been in a very privileged space and I've been given such decent education, which rates me a bit higher compared to others. So if the market is not opening doors high up there, but is inviting me on the lower ends of it, it becomes a bit unsettling. One thing that I used to laugh about was one of my ex-friends, and we were in the same township. When it's vacation time and we're back home, there's this thing of just wearing your student card around your neck so that everyone sees, I'm a UKZN student, and he will have issues even reading Isolezo at the library. And we would refer to him as Madiba because he had that Madiba accent. Why are you reading SOLS with the whole university student? Read something that has substance. Then you realize, you realize right there that being at the university has positioned this person to being in a space where they feel a little more empowered and a little more available. And sometimes that's in the way of us getting into the market because we refuse to start from somewhere. We want to start big. I can't be an honors graduate and drive a taxi, for example, even if I need to save up in that job for something greater in my career development. It becomes difficult to even go that route. And when I look back at my career and where I'm currently at, as proud as I am about what I've achieved, I'm not anywhere close to what I imagined. By now I would be an educational psychologist, popular around the province. I'll be making a lot of money doing assessment for, I'm not there, but I'm here. As much as I'm not where I need to be, I'm not horrible where I'm at, but I was willing to start from somewhere. And then Dogozo, you shared something about your chicken story. I like that because it speaks to that. And at some point, you'll probably engage us on that. Okay, so I've seen students who come to counseling for exit counseling. Exit counseling is whereby this college has excluded you because you don't have a permanent contract at the university. So if you keep failing and then the university say, I know, fair enough. Now I know we can't keep in the system. And those students are expected to go through us for exit counseling. Exit counseling is just helping you plan your life outside UKZN and helping you understand what do you need to do if you intend to come back. And I'll assure you, in my experience of doing that kind of work, there is a lot of pain in most students in having to imagine life outside these walls, UKZN. It becomes extremely difficult. It becomes extremely difficult. And because we seem to align the status of the institution to meeting our goals, which is not the case. You said in your introduction that I'm very passionate about career development. I do that as my career outreach project, and I do that. And every time I'm at a particular school in a township, my message, as much as I am a very, very committed UKZN employee and I love my UKZN, my message is always this: it's really not about where you are studying, but it's more about what you are studying, because that will save you from going to highly reputable institutions and pursuing a program that is not really taking you far, that does not have much space in the market. Somebody could be studying at an institution that is rated a bit lower, or maybe it doesn't hold as much status, but they are doing a program that will see them being absorbed by the market. So it's really not about the institution per se. It's about the value of the program in that particular institution, the quality of the program in that particular institution. Do I have a life outside this qualification? And that needs to be our approach in a way. And as I was telling about exit counseling, there are students who, even when they realize that they are not coping here, and they know there are programs elsewhere that have good opportunity, that they can still excel and they can still be great and achieve a lot, but they refuse. And when you ask them, why is it so difficult for you to leave? And you find people finding it, communicating the pain of detaching from something that's so valuable. And it's something that sometimes works against us, because if we carry that mentality, even as graduates, we can't imagine ourselves being absorbed in low-paying jobs. We can't imagine ourselves being in companies where we report to somebody who has standard 10 as the highest qualification, because you've always positioned yourself as a person who's worth a lot. Yet it's okay to start from somewhere. Okay, so we become often selective and choosy, and we are very clear on jobs that are not worth our qualifications. And sometimes we lose opportunities, we lose networks in that process. Because I can be in another department doing something smaller, not paying as much, but within this very same department, you find there are people who are higher up there, and I begin to connect and link with those people. And I wouldn't be in a position to achieve that if I'm outside the system, but I need to be in a position to learn from something. My stepdad, very old now, used to be an engineer, not by qualification. He had skill. And most times he will come back very frustrated at home and begin shouting, "What are you teaching those boys at the varsity? What are you teaching? This one, he's paid a lot of money, but so that comes from an old man who's skilled about the job, but now finds himself having to work with a graduate who's high up there, but seem to be lacking in terms of experience. Sometimes you find that that graduate is not even in a space of growing and being better in their field. When they enter that space and look at that Madala who gets paid not even a quarter of his salary as a person a person that's not worth entertaining. Because sometimes we carry that attitude, even when we get into spaces, we alienate ourselves. We can't learn from Loababa. That mama. So, and we can't really feed from those people and grow because our status is in the way. And we need to be mindful of that. And that also leads to the attitude, where the attitude is completely off. There is something that Bent is the principal at Sidara College of Agriculture once said when we're having this kind of deliberations, and it hit me, it stayed with me. He said, you can teach a person work, but you can't teach attitudes. I kept that in my head, and I may not be a farmer, but if I'm willing to learn, I can learn. And in no time, I will know how to farm. But you can't teach me work ethic, You can't teach me passion. Sometimes we lack these things because we remove ourselves because we don't feel these things are actually wet us in a way. I'm a sucker for commitment. And I try to get into environments with the aim that I don't want to leave them the same. If somebody is finding a new job and comes to me for any advice, one piece of advice is don't be average. Refuse to be average. We have a generation of graduates who are so okay and content with just doing the bare minimum. So obsessed with your KPIs, one little thing being asked, no, that's not part of my job. You don't grow in that space, and you don't market yourself in that space. No matter how skilled you are, how qualified you are, a typical employer still needs a hard worker, a person who's committed. You need to bring your creativity in workplaces, implement things that will leave a legacy statement for you. The before and after of your presence needs to be clearly defined. And that's how we grow. And that's how we attract opportunities. And in most times, people would say, but I don't like what I'm doing. It's not what I study. I'm not even passionate about it. Okay, that's exactly the reason why you should be working very hard. You know, you find a student who's a typical first day, comes for counseling and tell you, I hate this thing, I don't want to do it. And they realize, okay, it's too late for them to just drop it and choose something else. They also can't withdraw, it's too late to do that. And my advice would often is, you know, you don't want to do that and you shouldn't be doing, you're not passionate about it, you need out of this. But since you want to transfer to something better and you can't really withdraw now, you are forced to complete this semester. Guess what? Pass this semester and excel, not because you want it, as you are excelling as your ticket out. Because nobody, if you want to be in a different program, then people need to see you. You need to be attractive to them. They can't take you when you are mediocre. You know, yes, you do. And they don't give, they really don't care. They don't care why you are not doing well where you currently where you are coming from. They don't care. They don't understand, and they also don't care, you know. All they know is that you are not doing well where you are. They don't realize, oh no, I'm not passionate. They see a person who's not doing well. So because I don't want to be in this space, I need to work hard to attract good spaces. So basically what I'm saying is, if in your quest for greener pastures, be in a position to work overtime in those spaces where you are really uncomfortable and disappointed. So if you ask me, if I, for example, I'm not happy here, if that's a big if I'm not happy at my current job and I'm looking at being somewhere, my unhappiness in my current job should not compromise my work ethic, because there is no way I will attract a better job when I'm not doing enough here. Yes, I may not like it, but I'm not going to be associated with some Felix Schlope Friday syndrome. You know, that kind of mentality that I'm waiting for 4:30 and I'll drop it like it's hot as soon as it hits that floor. I'll still work very hard. You know, one of my favorite songs, who's this guy? I'm just missing him in my head, but the title of the song is Robin Thicke, yes, Can You Believe? It's a very inspiring song. Now, the chorus says something like, can you believe now when you're on your knees now, begging and pleading now? Can you believe? When your hope is all gone and no one to lift you up, can you believe? It's a very inspiring song, but there's something that he sings repeatedly towards the end of the song. If nobody's watching, you will never know. If somebody's watching, you will never know. If nobody's watching, you will never know. If somebody's watching, and it goes on and on and on and on. And that's a very powerful message. Excel where you are. You might be cleaning, excel in it. You might be in a taxi, excel in it. Connect. That work ethic and those connections can lead you somewhere. But if you feel so entitled to a good job, you will miss out on all those opportunities. So, yeah, you'll never know. When somebody's watching, you'll never know. I would love for us to stop there, as much as I would love to discuss further, because I would love to engage on questions. Thank you.
Sanele, you are the one. Thank you so much. That was so powerful. Yes. You've really it sparked a conversation on the chat. We have quite a few comments and questions directed to you. So I'll just read those ones out and then maybe allow a few audience members to ask you questions directly.
Okay, sure.
Okay, let's start off with a comment from Shelley Barnsley. She's only just saying wonderful words of wisdom, Sanele.
That's my
And Ms.
manager.
Okuhle Mhlongo says graduates who are happy with being average performers. This is very true and extremely concerning as it speaks about attitude, work ethic, and an ability to work in systems, which is what working is about. The lack of hunger when they are within the systems also makes them unteachable, hence lack of growth and unhappiness leading to poor service.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. I'll tell you an example about the vice principal at Sidara College of Agriculture. When he talks about his story, it's very humbling. A very hardworking young man as a student at Sidara. You know, the one who was always available to assist and offer a hand when there are things that needs to be done in the college. So by the time he graduates, he's already that person. He applies, he tries to find internships, he struggles. He comes back to the same college. Where can I assist you? He will tell me that he went for quite some time without pay, not even this allowance, you know. But as soon as those opportunities began to show, everyone else in the college could think of him without fail. The work ethic, you know. And when he was starting even in that low level, more like entry level jobs, he was not compromised on the caliber of a person that he was as a student. Still very much hardworking, still very much committed. And long story short, in no time, vice principal of the very same college. You know, there is no substitute for hard work, and we really need to ring that bell and ring it very loud. You need to work hard. Don't be, because I know some graduates are already on jobs and they don't like it. Don't be easy to fire. You know, there are people that are so easy to fire. You know, you can be fired like that. You know? It's so easy because you're quite average. They can replace you tomorrow. You know, they will just sneeze and there's somebody. You know, give your employer a headache when they think of you outside the system, and that sells. When people, it's not, you're not just doing it for your current workplace. Even people around, they see. You know, and that's how you build connections. There are people who tell you, well, I didn't really apply. I was alerted to the job by so and so who advised me to apply. They must have seen something from where you were. But if somebody's watching, you will never know. You're not in a position to.
It goes back to the lyrics. Let's grab a few more questions. So it says Alicia Nompumuza is asking, I would like to know, as a first year student, what career development activities would be considered as job experience that can enhance employment opportunities that I can be involved in at this stage?
Yeah, I did cover that, and I think Sisi needs to just take the issue of job shadowing seriously. So it's basically, there are so many programs offered under College of AES. What I will tell my student is, begin to look around in your immediate system. Okay, I'm based at PMB campus. I'm studying here. I'm just making an example. Okay, around Pietermaritzburg or even Durban, what sort of companies or departments or whatever would look at a person with my qualifications? If you're struggling with that, we do have Mr. Hlongwa as a career development officer, or when you come to counseling, we can redirect you to him. So I begin to make contact with these companies, not as a job seeker, but as a student training to be in that space at some point. I let them about my career journey. I'm at the university, currently in my first year. This is what I do. Your company is the kind of company I imagine myself working for at a particular stage. But for now, since I'm studying, I'd love to be exposed to your work. Can I come on certain days? Agreed between the two parties, just to observe how you do your work. And when you are there observing, you ask a lot of questions. That experience in itself, you know. And like I said, it's not just you being there, being able to ask questions, being able to help where you can. You're building connections already. You're building connections before you even look for a job. Before you know it, people will tell you, would ask you, when are you going on vacation? You can come for that week. You grow in that company. By the time you have graduated, you are in a better space. I hope I've answered.
Yes. This question also, I think it's part of what you've just answered, but I think maybe to be more specific to the students, it will be helpful, because sometimes it's a matter of knowing where to go with your problems. Then once you reach the right institution, like you said, student support services and career development officers within the College of AES do have facilities to assist students with career development. So now, Ngbekazi Bana wants to know the issue about job shadowing. It's not easy. The university or tertiary institutions also need to build relationships, partnerships, and have MOUs with different organizations. For example, as a psych student, you can't just walk into a psych hospital and ask to volunteer. So to someone who's not maybe in the college, how would they go about in finding out what resources are there to help them have job shadowing opportunities?
Yeah. I take what Ngbakazi is saying. I agree 100%. We do indeed need to have forge those partnerships as they used to at a tertiary management level, whereby our students have this kind of spaces to explore, because psychology is often a professional field, you know, and you do not just shadow when people are having sessions with clients. It doesn't work like that. Confidentiality issues and things like that, you know. But yes, I agree with what Ngbakazi is saying. So in that case, I still maintain that the more we connect to those who are in the workplace, to those who are where we want to be, and begin to be to conscientize them or to make them aware of where we are, we tend to learn a lot from them, and we tend to be guided a bit more. So in this case, it wouldn't be a case of relying on job shadowing, but I would still advise a psychology student, for example, to know a particular psychologist in their section and to be in conversations with that person and have that person as part of their career development. So as much as I'm progressing from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, I have someone I keep talking to about opportunities that exist where I
am. Thank you for that, Sanele. I think I will open the floor to any questions. You can put up your hand and we'll take any questions before we start the poll.
I saw Prof. Modi's hand, and I'm glad. I'm not sure if he still has a question. Okay, no.
Okay, it seems he's not part of it. Oh, there's a Petrina Mtombeni. You can unmute.
I was trying to unmute myself. I apologize. Can I come back to my question?
Yes,
well, my comment. Thanks, Mr. Zuma. Let me not waste a lot of time with praises. I'm sure I'm going to bump into you and give you a long story about how well you've done and how important it is, what you've just said. But I think I also need to respond to the questions that were raised as I'm making a comment. I'm thinking about the focus of your talk, which is about entitlement. And if Ntokozo doesn't mind, this is the way I see it. I hope I'm sharing the way I see it. Am I sharing it?
Yes.
Yes, Prof.
Okay. And this is what I think you are going to assist us to resolve. When I was a student, I did a degree and I knew what is my job. You see, so I knew where I'm going to be employed. Is it important for us as a university, for each one of the degrees, to say this is where you're going to be employed, and therefore you are entitled as a student to jobs in these areas? And this is not only your question. I think you said that we need an open discussion. Imagine a college of law and management studies, AES and so on their website, they say, come do this degree. When you finish this degree, this is where you're gonna get a job. And they make a list of areas where you're going to be employed. It may be a good idea. But then before I stop, I want to remind everyone that your job that you see today, especially I'm speaking to the students, is probably not going to be there by 2030. 2030 is around the corner. You see? So you're doing a degree, and let's particularly speak about people who are doing science. You're doing a degree in science, right? And your job is actually not going to be there 30 years from now or by 2030. Okay, what are you going to do? So that means we need people like you now outside of the classroom to give students emotional intelligence about the fact that the meaning of a degree cannot be defined as a summation of reality tomorrow. That must not be a disappointment. Yes, I'm entitled to my degree. I'm going to be graduating, but I'm only entitled to the reality that I cannot see. What is your comment to that? In fact, anyone else can respond.
Yeah, thank you. That's a mouthful, very profound, Prof. Thanks. I look forward to your kind words when we bump into each other. Anyway, I think it's very suicidal to be placed in a position where you feel by pursuing a particular program, you will be in these particular offices doing this particular job, because probably that's what is confining us now to only look narrowly at those spaces. And we become a very, very much impatient with the process, because career development is an ongoing process. It's more like, okay, College of Law and Management Studies, pursue a law degree, I'll be a lawyer after my papers. But those papers may be delayed, you know. You do not get there right away. And we become very frustrated. Depression kicks in because we're just looking at it narrowly like that, as in, I'm entitled to this given that I've now hold this particular qualification. And it often doesn't work like that. And that's why sometimes I would, you know, when I'm very close to my nieces, and sometimes when you hear them talk, they're like, oh, okay, good luck, Mshan, you know, and say, I'll finish matric, and then after matric, I'll be doing this degree for 3 years. Is it 3 years? Yes, it's 3 years. After that, you know, my first car will be Cherokee, and then I'll be at Mshanga in 2 years. Like, okay, good luck, Mshan. Because it doesn't really always go like that.
So sorry, I wasn't to intervene. Yes, exactly my point. But here is what I'm trying to say to people: the world is actually rotating faster in its axis than it used to 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Okay, so things are changing. Many of the degrees are actually, I mean, I dare say this: they are not going to be relevant 20 years from now. But how do you dare tell a student to be ready, to be ready for the unexpected. In fact, it is expected. Nobody now knows that they are going to get a job in the first instance, and secondly, what kind of job they're going to have. You'd be very surprised to learn that sometimes we bump into people at a petrol station and they tell you that they used to live in Denison. You see, and they are now working at a petrol station, and they never they never dreamt that they're going to do that. How do we as universities, how do we as the leadership of universities prepare our graduates for the 21st century, the fourth industrial revolution world that is so unfair in the sense that it takes away jobs from people and it emphasizes technology. And this technology is not going to give everybody a job. You see, so people need to be ready about that. The world is changing fast, and the ground is shifting fast. So maybe other people want to respond to my challenge, but I'm here as a lecturer at DVC saying that my students' degrees are probably not going to be relevant 20 years from now. Should I be guillotined?
Okay, Prof, I would like to stop you there. Unfortunately, right now, we are close to closing time. The episode closes at 7. However, I don't want to close the discussion. So please continue engaging with us and Sanele on our official Facebook page. It's called UKZN C's in CAES Alumni. You'll see Sanele as the cover. That's where we can continue the conversation there. For now, I would like us to take a poll. Sally.
Can I switch my video off now?
And Kozo, maybe just take a couple more questions while the poll's running. I see two hands up.
Okay. I see a hand from Petunia Mtombeni. You can show your video and unmute yourself.
Okay. Look, video. The video is gonna be difficult. All right. But thank you for that. Apologies for not changing the name. I was using the laptop. I think I have sort of two questions and an answer to the professor that was talking. The first question is, could we, especially around UKZN, and I know because I joined UKZN late, but around UKZN, could you have these discussions, especially around career and career development, more in the lecture rooms, as opposed to someone having to go outside to get special assistance? That's number one for me. The second thing is that I don't agree with the professor that's saying some degrees will be obsolete. I think, especially when it comes from an institution like UKZN, I think, but maybe before I go there, because maybe let's not divert. I think most importantly, Mr. Zuma, I think it would be of greater importance if we were to preach, especially the gospel that says we have to work very hard. I think that is the gospel that we need to preach to all our undergrads, and to make sure that we become top achievers and start doing that at undergrad level, and ensure that we really do focus on pushing the studies, especially because the degree only opens the door for you, but what keeps you in your job and what keeps you promoting, unfortunately or fortunately, is a little bit more than the degree. And it's stuff that you touched on, your work ethic, and how you are able to investigate, because that's what university teaches us, how to investigate and solve problems. So your ability to go there, your ability to do the extra mile. So I think, please let us continue to preach that gospel, that we need to continue to work hard, and also we need to continue to enhance our degrees with the skills that are not necessarily written. Because when you study law, all you know, when you study engineering, you get to understand certain fields in engineering, but you also need to know how to work hard and apply your mind to the current solution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And one last hand, Petejo Makaleng.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for this platform. It was really engaging and we really learned a lot. One of the things that I wanted to add in terms of developing skills and everything, here at school, we have a lot of student organizations where actually students could go and really gain a lot of experiences and learn a lot of skills. Hence, since I got here, I think I've been in more than 5 organizations, and that really worked for me because you get to learn problem solving skills. You really apply what you're learning in your thinking, in your degree. For example, they say, okay, I'm in a different school, and yeah, I don't know how I got here, but yeah. So we have supply chain organizations, we have law organizations, we have accounting organizations. So those kind of organizations, I believe even this college might have all those kind of organizations. So students being there and actually discussing the current matters, having the lecturer actually being there, attending with them, and actually solving the current situations that are happening around them, that also actually help in enhancing their skills, and also being part of the peer education. Some of the things you don't really need to be in a different college or anywhere. Being peer educator, you can be peer educator even if you're not part of the thingy. So it doesn't matter which school or college you're coming from, you just go there and then you get to learn to negotiate, you get to learn to write proposals, those kind of things. So you really get to learn and enhance your skills besides really going to the industrial. So by doing that, at least you get something that will actually push you to learn new things, and also team building and all those. So those are little skills that we actually talk about on a daily basis. Reporting, those are the things that you're going to need at the workplace, but you can start as little as being part of any of the organizations, although you're not going to get paid, but it's something. And also, like I think Mr. Zuma touched on being good in what you're doing. If you're good in your academics, that could actually help you to achieve to get to be a tutor. Being a tutor, you're also getting experiences. Maybe you might end up being a lecturer or a professor or something. So those are the things that you really need to learn, those kind of things while you're still here before you can even go out. So studying and being like, okay, I need this kind of job now, I need to focus on my studies, that might not also work on your advantage, because you really need those extra skills and be extraordinary, like, so that you can stand out around others, so that they know that you can really multitask, you can really do this and that. So yeah, those are the small things that you can really learn while you're still at school before you go outside. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pataho. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our episode. However, we would still like to engage more with you, so please join us on our Facebook page, UKZN's Alumni. And if you need any assistance from Mr. Zuma, you can send him an email. He is part of the student development team. His email address is Zuma s2@ukzn.ac.za. And if you have any suggestions for more topics that we can engage in that will be more helpful to you, you can send an email to myself, which is Dladla, which is DLADLAL @ukzn.ac.za. Mr. Sanele Zuma, do you have any last words before we close off tonight?
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and I hope we'll continue engagement, and I hope there's something we take away from this. Thank you. Thank you for the love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sanele, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Please remember, refuse to be average. Good night.